Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. This is Faisal Ahmed, faculty member, Department of English, World University of Bangladesh. Now you are in week 11. And the lesson plan of the week 11 is part 3 of the poem The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. You have already learned part 1 and 2 of the same poem by T.S. Eliot. So now in week 11 you are going to learn part 3, the rest and the remaining part of the poem, and we are going to end the discussion of the poem in week 11. Let's begin. Insight into the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Inaction or passivity is the main theme of the poem. All through the poem, we discover a speaker who has desires and dreams, yet fails to act on them because he deems himself inferior, unworthy, and a failed person. In this lesson, you will learn part 3 of the poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, from line number 99 to line number 131. The end of the poem. Text recitation and analysis part 3 from line 99 to 131, and critical commentary on the poem with major themes and other analysis. So in the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock you will find a soliloquy or monologue, that is dramatic monologue or interior monologue. So what's the difference between a soliloquy and a monologue? In the previous week 10, you learned about interior monologue and the difference between interior monologue and dramatic monologue, and now you will find the difference between a soliloquy and a monologue. Soliloquies and monologues have one thing in common. They each involve a solitary speaker, lonely speaker speaking to himself. The difference between the two doesn't have to do with who's talking, but with who's listening. A monologue, from the Greek monos, that means single, and lagin, that means to speak, is a speech given by a single person to an audience. Mark Antony delivers a well-known monologue to the people of Rome in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. You probably know how it starts. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones, so let it be with Caesar's, etc. Soliloquy. But a soliloquy, from the Latin solus, meaning alone, and loqui, meaning to speak, is a speech that one gives to oneself. In a play, a character delivering a soliloquy talks to herself, and he or she doesn't have any idea whether anyone is listening to him or her, thinking out loud as it were, so that the audience better understands what is happening to the character internally. The most well-known soliloquy in the English language appears in Act 3, Scene 1 of Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it's nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing in them, etc. Text analysis of the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, stanza 14, line number 99 to 144. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the door rears and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the scars that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? Stanza 14, line number 105 to 110. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window, should say, "That is not it at all, that is not what I meant at all"? This hesitation, or a fear to express his thoughts. Prufrock's. "No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be." So here Mr. Prufrock is comparing himself not with Hamlet, but indeed he is. "I am an attendant lord, one that will do to soil a progress, start a scene, a two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, differential, glad to be of use. I grow old, I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolls. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me." So the Prufrock is feeling lonely, isolated and alienated. So even the mermaids are not talking to him, they are talking to themselves. "I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea by sea-girls, wreathed with seaweed, red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown." Here Mr. Prufrock is fantasizing that his beloved is with him and they are spending a very close and very secret affairs, okay, just below or underneath the sea. So whether mermaids and other human beings will not disturb them. So they are searching for a secret place to fulfill their secret affairs. That is love or lust. And I think he's indicating lust, or maybe it love. The original title of this poem wasn't The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. It was Prufrock Among the Women. So here the poem is about women and the middle-aged man, Mr. Prufrock, among them. We are glad Eliot changed his mind about this original title, which sounds like a terrible 1950s musical. But it does tell us that Eliot thinks Prufrock's relation to the fairer sex is at the center of this poem. Love Song makes a similar point, but not as directly. The title is actually the only place where Prufrock's name is mentioned. In the poem, he talks about himself in first person. Eliot is clearly poking fun of himself with this title. As a young man, he signed his name T. Stearns Eliot, but that doesn't mean the poem is biographical or autobiographical. One thing to know about the title is that it's completely ironic in light of the poem, which is not so much a love song as the depressed ramblings of a lonely and cowardly man. Settings of the poem. We start this journey in a dark, smelly neighborhood of London. It's October. Steam is rising from the streets and a thick yellow fog circulates around the crooked houses. Drunks are stumbling out of the sawdust restaurants and sloppy-looking couples argue outside of cheap hotels. Settings continues. Part of the poem takes place in this obviously hellish part of the big metropolis, but the poem's other setting is just as bad, though it looks nicer on the surface. This is the London of the tired and bored middle class sitting in their cramped rooms, drinking tea and coffee all day. All anyone seems to do is lie around and grow older. In other parts of the house, people are talking and laughing and music is playing, but we are not allowed to go in there. Prufrock offers you yet another cup of coffee and you don't even know what time of day it is. Major themes in Love Song of Alfred Prufrock. Just have a look. Anxiety, indecision, and hesitation that we have found throughout the whole poem. Desire, communication, and disappointment also we have found. Modernity and generation gap, the modern people's alienation and their fear of future, and the society and relationships, alienation and isolation, psychological dilemmas, issues, and mental stability or specifically instability. Hero worship, love, manipulation, passivity, time, appearances. Major themes discussed here. Love. It's hard to tell whether Prufrock is really in love with the person he is talking to. He speaks about himself a lot and he ignores her or us for most of the poem. Maybe he is too shy to speak his mind, although cowardly seems more accurate. Maybe he is talking about his secret lust rather than love. Manipulation. We found Prufrock as a deceptive narrator. Everything is suspicious, what he says sporadically throughout the poem. So he tries to consider all the men like him, or he just make us busy throughout the whole thing, or what is going on inside his mind. Passivity. Prufrock was found passive throughout the whole poem. Actions are discussed as either future possibilities or as thing already done and past. Time, another major theme. In relation to time, this poem is a total trip. It ricochets back and forth between the past and the future, almost never settling on the present. One moment Prufrock is talking about all the things he is going to do before having tea. So that means the modern people, indicating that modern people are living with past and future rather than present. The next moment he has had tea and still doesn't have the energy to do anything, but somehow by the end of the poem Prufrock's big chance has passed him by and he becomes a sad old man in flannel pants. Appearances. There seem to be no complete human beings in this poem. There are only bits and pieces of people, an arm, legs, or other things here, some eyes there, maybe a couple of voices in the next room. The person whose appearance we know most about is Prufrock, and we kind of wish we hadn't learned about his bald spot or his bony arms and legs. The lack of bodies is one of the signs that might make us think the poem is set in hell. Further analysis of the modern hero in the love song of Alfred Prufrock. Prufrock laments his physical and intellectual inertia, the lost opportunities in his life and lack of his spiritual progress, and he is haunted by reminders of unattained carnal love with visceral feelings of weariness, regret, embarrassment, longing, emasculation, sexual frustration, a sense of decay, and an awareness of mortality. Prufrock has become one of the most recognized voices in modern literature. Commentary on the love song of Alfred Prufrock. Lack of self-esteem or confidence. Prufrock is lacking in self-esteem and perhaps loathes himself or hates himself. How do we know this? Well, note the imagery in line 57 to 61 when he compares himself to an insect pinned and wriggling on the wall, and again in lines 73 and 74 in which he sees himself as a lowly crustacean on the sea floor, or crab, crustacean crabs. Fear of future. Another commentary on fear of future. The questions continue as the narrative progresses, an echo of the scene. From dainty, will Prufrock have the courage to act? Will he have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? He makes us think that he has sacrificed much to get to this point in his life. He has fasted, prayed, wept, afraid for the future. Fear of rejection. In this, the outcome of Prufrock's fear of rejection Is this the outcome of Prufrock's fear of rejection? He cannot bring himself to commit to his vision, poetic, religious, or amorous. He cannot even eat a peach due to a deep-seated angst. Fantasy versus harsh reality. In the end, he succumbs to harsh reality while fantasizing about the mermaids who sing to each other but who will never sing to him. Prufrock just can't snap out of this self-imposed existential mindset. What is it he needs? Love, drugs, or therapy? T.S. Eliot's intention throughout this poem, by portraying Prufrock as an anxious, neurotic individual, he invites us to use his work of art as a mirror. Read it out loud, slowly, and its intelligence and music will emerge. The role of fate versus humans' actions to create it, or to change it, or to reverse it. No matter what sort of life we lead, we might question, dare, and invite others to share before time and fate take their toll. So you want to know how to change the universe? Sink your teeth into a juicy peach. And that's the end of the poem. Analysis, critical commentary, and major themes in week 11. Thank you very much for being with me. So with new topic, talk to you next week. Till then, bye bye.